KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Danny Morrison Show, KBLA Talk 1580. What a great conversation. This time I Post 101 talking to Gray King, migrationist. We're also on the phone right now with Fahima. Let's get him back up in here. We were having a discussion. I will shut my mouth because they were having their own one-on-one. Gray, you were making a point a few minutes ago. Please continue.
Yes, sir. So this is from the Cal Matters website, which is a California-based website. They give a lot of information. So this is the Latino business community. Over the past 10 years, it has grown 34%. In comparison to all business owners in the United States have only grown 1%. This is in your state. The Hispanic population contributes $500 billion to the economy in annual sales in your state. They have exceeded us in population. They're estimated at 60 million, likely closer to 70, and they are now exceeding us in economic activity at $2.3 trillion. So when their population doubles and this number doubles to $4.5 trillion to $5 trillion, and we're still at the $2 trillion mark, the political reality is that they have more economic power than you have. They have more political power than you have. And thinking as an individual is no longer going to work for your future generations in this country. They are coming here to displace us and ultimately replace us. So some of the earlier initiatives that were mentioned, I think it was in New Jersey, and you're building, these houses, and you're separating 20% or less than 20% for low income or affordable housing.
Right.
But the value of the market value properties are going to create a gentrification structure that's going to push people out anyway, because you're not going to be able to afford to live in those communities. That happened in every single community that I grew up in, where they tore down projects. These were housing projects. They put up luxury condos that are at $300,000 to $400,000 or $500,000, which is extremely insane in the area that I grew up in. And it's going to force all the people in that community to move out because they're not going to be able to afford to live there. So this cycle has been going on for decades. In the 70s in Philadelphia, it was called urban renewal. This is a system by which, it's one thing we can uplift celebrities, Black Americans, God bless them. They're trying, but they don't understand the unintended consequences from the things that we may try to do. And allowing people to just come over here freely is a problem. I'll mention the H-1B1 visa system, by which very intelligent, skilled people in all sectors of society, in the healthcare industry, especially in the tech sector, they come in to take jobs that are very high-paying jobs that Black Americans don't even have a pipeline to get into because there's no system in place for us to get into those positions.
All right,
There's no support.
Hold on, Gray. Fahima, go ahead and respond. That right there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to go in a different direction. But with all due respect, this is this white supremacist MAGA replacement theory that you hear coming from the right. I was going to speak about some other things, but I've been listening to this. Now you mentioned about these visas. There was something known as a Einstein visa that people came to this country to take high-tech jobs that there weren't Americans across the board capable of doing. One of the things that President Obama did is he pushed STEAM and STEM because, for the most part, the educational system in this country if you don't go to an African-centered educational program or or one of these private institutions, most Black and brown people are being prepared to be the hewers of wood and the drawers of water. And what we have to do is to continue to take advantage of those opportunities where we can learn tech, we can learn STEAM, and we can acquire the technical skills to do those jobs. The other piece I wanted to say from earlier, one of the things that I've dedicated my life to is working with young people as a social worker and as an educator to help facilitate them in the direction where they can acquire, aspire, and achieve. What we need to be doing, we know, and all Black people are not in poverty and going to jail and thugging and out there in a dismal state. But those of us that do have the ability, we need to be like some of the sororities and fraternities do, 100 Black men, taking at-risk youth, taking them up under their wing and mentoring them and tutoring them, opposed to sitting here talking about immigrants. You made mention about, yes, this is going to be a minority by 2020, and minority is an oxymoron. Those are Black people that we're talking about. Right. And the white supremacists are afraid of a Black planet, just like Public Enemy said. And many of those Latinos you talk about, sir, many of those Latinos are Black people, okay? Many of those immigrants are Black people from Africa and from the Caribbean. And instead of sitting here arguing about crumbs, we need to be preparing our young people to take advantage of those opportunities. Those people who are falling by the wayside, we need to be mentoring them and letting them know there's a better way. I'm going to get off because I know that other people may want to call and your guests may have some additional comments. I'll hang up. But I'm really very disheartened. This is white supremacist replacement theory that comes from the right. I hear it every single day.
I appreciate you. What I want to know is, perhaps even from both of you, why can't both be true? Why couldn't it be exactly what Fahima said? You know, we need to educate ourselves. We need to achieve more. We need to get involved in STEM learning. We need to do STEAM learning, if you will. And at the same time, maybe part of what you're saying is true as well. Maybe there are people coming over to this country and taking the jobs that rightfully belong to us. Why can't both sides be true in some aspect?
I wholeheartedly agree with most of what she said in terms of educating our youth and creating systems so that they can actually achieve, and qualify for these positions. However, I'm gonna bring up some anecdotal things that happened recently. There was a post today of a Texas tech company that in the advertisement for an employer or employee, it said whites only in the ad for a tech employee in Texas in 2023.
In 2023?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll give you another example. My son, who is in the trucking industry, and I was able to get him in a position where at 25 he's going to earn six figures. Fairly easy job to perform at a very young age. And the trainer, after 3 days of him being in the truck with him, told him he was the worst trainee that he ever had. And the reason that is because they recently hired a black manager, and the white employees in the company hate having a black boss. They hate the black manager.
Yeah.
And so they're doing everything they can to keep more black employees from coming into the company. So there's subtle racism, and then there's that out front racism that only really affects us, to be quite honest. There really is no black and brown, because the Browns have, not only do they have the system in place already in this country, but they get funding from their home countries, and they get funded through illegal organizations. And not only can I verify that, because I had a conversation with a local restaurant chain that started off with one restaurant, and now they have 15 restaurants, and the owner of it told me flat out, I can go to this criminal organization and they will fund whatever it is I want to do.
We got to be careful. I don't want to put that information out there without verification. We can't say that, because you can make the case black people do that too. So I mean, we can't really say that. But I see where you're going though. Can we get it?
Send you news. I can send you news articles about it.
Okay.
I'll say this about black people.
Yeah.
Every other immigrant population that came into this country was able to start off in a criminal enterprise and wash their money and go into legitimate business. Black Americans have not been able to do the same. There are so many things that occur in this country that the people who are not from here come in here, they quickly elevate above us because the system is designed for them to do that, and we can't do the same in our own country. That's just the reality of the situation. That's in the healthcare industry. There's in Pennsylvania, I posted an article where they are actively seeking people out of the healthcare profession from foreign countries. And then you'll see a post on TikTok of a black American woman who's been in the healthcare industry for 30 years, and she cannot advance within the same system, because that's the way the system is designed, to keep us at a certain level. It really is. And these stories are endless across this country.
Yeah, I've seen some of those stories, I must admit. And before we move forward, you got to stay the rest of the hour. Can you do that? I got phone calls coming in like crazy want to talk to you. Can you do that, Greg?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about. I'll tell you what, before we come forward here, let's play this second clip. Can we do that real quick? Can we fit it in?
Okay.
Check this out. This is from a queen named Black Girl Tragic, who says that we should move into the red states and push the white people out. Listen.
So I made a video saying, instead of moving away from places like Florida, Tennessee, Texas, we need to move to these places en masse to trigger white flight. And I mean that. I read a couple comments that said, it's really scary to move to these places because of the racism. Yeah, it is scary. But we have to channel the strength of our ancestors. We have to be fearless. Black people have always been so good at building community. And you know who's terrible at it? I said this before in a previous video, but black people have strayed too far away from building community with each other. All right, so what is white flight? White flight is the sudden or gradual migration of white people from places that are becoming more racially diverse. If we move to these places en masse, the white people are going to leave. They're going to flee. The reason we cannot make progress is because the people that are living in these states support regressive policies. So let's push them out and move ourselves in. We cannot continue to acquiesce to racist politicians. We can't. If you are a black person in a racist state, send out a bat signal so we know where you are. I know this seems very far-fetched and very radical, but I'm ready. We need change now.
That is Black Girl Tragic. I want you to answer on the other side. 1-800-920-1580. 1-800-920-1580. We're inside my Post One-on-One. Gray King, Danny Morrison Show, KBLA. Stay there.
From Bakersfield to Los Angeles. From middays to nighttime. Like George and Wheezy, Danny Morrison is moving on up at KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates U.S. Olympic gold medalist and Hall of Famer Jeanette Bolden Pickens, owner of the 27th Street Bakery. 27th Street Bakery sends a huge thank you to the community for all its support during the pandemic, serving the Los Angeles community with their signature sweet potato pie since 1956 and third-generation baker. The goal has never changed. Keep the business thriving for generations to come. Made with the freshest ingredients in each yam peeled by hand. 27th Street Bakery puts the home back in homemade with the signature vanilla added to all its amazing products, pies, cakes, cobblers, tea cakes, and the newest item, creamy sweet potato cheesecake. Call 323-233-3469. That's 323-233-3469. Have your order shipped by visiting 27thstreetbakery.com or stop by 2700 South Central Avenue, Los Angeles, California, 90001, Tuesdays through Saturdays, 8 to 4.
If you have certain chronic conditions such as
heart disease,
asthma,
diabetes, and you're 19 years of age or older,
52,
36,
42, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'm going to ask my doctor
about getting vaccinated
with Prevnar 20.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Real talk, real time, the gospel truth. You're listening to the Danny Morrison Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're inside my post one-on-one with Gray King. Cecil, don't you go anywhere. Juliet, don't you go anywhere. People are coming in wanting to talk to Gray for show. I just played a clip from Black Girl Tragic. Now, I can agree with what she was saying, but am I missing something? Because when did we black people become good at building communities? Am I missing something? The same black people that I've been trying to get to patronize black-owned businesses for 20-plus years, she talking about we good at building communities. Tell me what I'm missing, Gray.
First, let me say I love Black Girl Tragic. I love her energy. I love the way she thinks. Her focus needs to focus from the larger states to the smaller states, but she is on point in terms of weaponizing white flight for our political advancement. Us building community is kind of a natural thing for us. It is kind of what we do. It's a part of our culture. We create regional cultures all over the country and all over the planet, wherever we are. We just have obstacles in our path. We have situations like Jackson, Mississippi, where we're 82% of the city's population. We control the county, Hinds County. Most of the county councilmen are black or black American people. Mm. The problem is because we don't control the funding, we don't control the investment into the community, that we suffer. So she's on the right path. She understands fully what we need to do. It just has to be tweaked a little bit to get us to where we need to be. And oh, by the way, these think pieces that the left wing is writing, like in the Hill and some other places, they're actually telling us to go to some of these states that are on the Black American homeland map and the Black State of America map. So the Democrats are trying to weaponize the reverse migration for their own benefit, because they're essentially saying, if you look at the governor's race in Georgia, where Stacey Abrams was talking about flipping the state over to blue. So they understand what we can do, what we can accomplish, but they want to do it for their benefit. And what we have to do is say, no, we're going to do it for our benefit.
Look at you. You're going to be a Democrat by the end of the show. Look at you. Sound like it. Take a phone call real fast. Cecil, get up in here. Give me your height, your color, and your hood, King.
Hello, how you doing, brother? I'm black. Been black all my life. Will die black. Been in L.A. since I was brought here as a small child by my parents back in '56. And is that the brother that was talking to you, called in on the phone, talking to you a couple of weeks ago when you had a woman named Connie on?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. And I agree with him. Absolutely, and these are old ideas that just haven't been implemented because people haven't seen a way to conjure enough people together with the resources and the ideas and whatnot to get it done. In fact, I was thinking, I was telling a little Ethiopian girl back in the 80s, referring to Mississippi and South Carolina as places where we could migrate and possibly control the governor's office and a couple of senators' office. The fact is, though, that people migrating to different places to effectuate a express political outcome is not the way that things happen. People migrate to places because of socioeconomic advantages, jobs. You know what I mean? That's why people came to California. And in California, back in 1994, I think the brother that might remember it, we had a proposition on the ballot called Proposition 187, which is incidentally a penal code in California. But that's besides the point. 62 or 63% of the people in the so-called white, quote-unquote, areas voted for it. About the same percentages, even though that's an underestimation, in the black areas, South Central voted for it. What happened was that people were so alarmed by the immigration situation here across the 2,000-mile porous U.S. Los Estados Unidos border, 2,000-mile porous border, that they had to do something because they were not being responded to by the politicians, and never will be. You know what I mean? They voted to restrict subsidization for illegals that were coming across the border. Okay, and what your guest is talking about is exactly right. It's a century-old scheme where people in countries where wealth is concentrated at the top by people that own the land refuse to engage the masses, the population, in land redistribution. So you have out-migration, pressure. And they come to this country. Pressure is lessened on places like England, where they forced the Irish out. It wasn't just the Irish potato famine. There was some other factors going on. In Germany, where you had a whole lot of political turmoil, the Germans came here. Same thing with all of the rest of the immigrant groups that came here. And the scheme that he's laying out is exactly what's happening. Fahima is stuck in an old, like you just said, it's a white, racist, liberal, leftist idea. This idea that doesn't work, never has worked. We know it doesn't work. So I agree with him. I would suggest that as a tactic, there are many tactics you can deploy, but as a tactic, we could realize that, when you come up with names like white, I'm trying to get away from that white. I'm trying to get away from Hispanic. In fact, I don't even use it. when you put a big umbrella over groups of people, like the Germans, the Irish, these are the largest two ethnic groupings in this country by far, and they have been for quite a while, especially the Germans ever since Prohibition, and the Irish at least ever since the early 70s. And you include Italians and anybody else you want to. In fact, they used to call Mexicans white. Okay, the Mexican people, they used to call them white back in the census. When you put that larger umbrella over people, like they do over Hispanic people that they call Hispanic, what you're doing is you're creating a big block that makes those particular groups that fit under that umbrella look a whole lot larger and more powerful than they are.
I got you, Cecil.
Cecil,
I got to give him an opportunity to respond because we're up against it right here. You want to go ahead and respond to that, Gray?
Yeah. So thank you for coming up to speak.
Thank you for the call, too. By the way, real quick, South Central checking in. Drop that for my man. Come on, let's go. Yeah. Go ahead, Gray. What were you going to say?
Okay, I just want to push back on the move for socioeconomic reasons. And I'm going to give you a stat. Since 2000, nearly 7.7 million blacks have moved to southern states. This is from the Chicago Crusader, who were trying to figure out why black Americans keep leaving the Chicago area. They came up with this number of 7.7 million blacks moving to southern states. The issue with that is we are moving south. It is happening naturally, organically. We're not moving politically. So we're moving to Texas. We're moving to Florida. We're moving to North Carolina. These are large states with large populations. Unfortunately, Miss Black Tragic doesn't understand the fact that if we move to these large states, we're still going to be a minority in these large states. So we have to move to smaller states where we can become the majority, and then we'll have the political and economic power.
Gray, I got to tell you, Fahima just brought up a good point. She said if you're registered as an independent, you're not even able to vote in the primary to determine the candidate.
That is only true in certain states. Many states are open primary states, and many states are pushing for open primaries, and that is another function of the duopoly where they try to keep out voters so that they can keep the system in place. So we should actually be, and if you live in a state that is a closed primary state, you should be advocating to open up the state so that everyone has an opportunity to vote and not just, people that are registered. But you can switch registrations to vote in an election, to get into a primary if you choose to, and then switch back for the general. There is a mechanism to do it, but I prefer to stay independent because I don't align with either of these parties politically. I just don't. I never have. I never will. So I believe most black Americans would be in the center. If there was a center party that represented our needs and had a black agenda, I think most black Americans would actually register with that party.
1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. We're inside my Pulse One-on-One with Gray King. When we come forward, I got another clip for you, and it is a really good one. While I was downloading it, I said, I cannot wait to hear your perspective on this one because it broadens the conversation about migration, and I want to know where you're going to take it. Danny Morrison Show, KBLA Talk 1580, right now, news and traffic. Don't y'all go nowhere.
Nighttime is the right time for Danny Morrison on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Julius White. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. New York City Mayor, African-American Eric Adams says he sees no problem with President Biden's age. It comes after the president announced he would be running for re-election in 2024.
His age is excellent.
Meantime, a meeting between the Justice Department and Hunter Biden's attorneys is reported to have taken place today. The meeting reportedly involved potential charges related to tax filing from the president's son and an illegal firearm purchase. And Montana Republicans have voted to censure the state's first openly transgender lawmaker. Democratic Representative Zoe Zephyr will not be allowed on the state's House floor for the rest of the legislative session. She drew the ire of a group of Republican state House and Senate Republicans after she said this to lawmakers who voted to ban gender-affirming care for minors.
I hope the next time there's an invocation, when you bow your heads in prayer, you see the blood on your hands.
I'm Julius White on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
It's about time small businesses like yours got the help you deserve. GetRefunds.com can find out if your business qualifies for ERC assistance in less than 8 minutes and may be eligible for up to $26,000 per employee. Go to GetRefunds.com to get started. That's GetRefunds.com.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
Like bones, your teeth lose density and become weaker over time, which can lead to tooth decay. And that can make your visit to the dentist feel like this. But if you want your dental visit to feel like this, try Crest Densify. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth by remineralizing enamel. Densify from Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America. Smile, Crest has you covered.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. And here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Here at NerdWallet, we often see people struggle with financial decisions, like with Helen. Hey, Helen.
Hello.
Helen, you're all over the place.
I'm trying to pick a rewards credit card, and I've ended up, well, everywhere.
With NerdWallet, you don't have to feel all over the place. NerdWallet has side-by-side comparisons of top credit cards. So whether you need a card for groceries or travel, the smartest card for you is right there.
Wow. Now I'm in one place with the right travel rewards card. Nice.
Nice indeed. NerdWallet, the smartest decision for all your financial decisions.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Danny Morrison Show exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh my God, no you didn't. You know that's my heater. Greatest rapper of all time. Shut your mouth right now. Give me some juice. Come on.
Come, get some, you little bum. I take the cake, but you can't get a crumb from the poetic, authentic, superior, ultimate, and all that good shit.
Hey, hey!
There you have it. Now it's dramatic, creating drama when I'm on the scene, and I pack 'em in mean like Bruce Springsteen. I provide a style, a smile, meanwhile put on trial, a rap while in exile, make it tumble and stumble, and a mumble just crumble, and I'm still calm and humble. You need another helping hand to swing on. I stand alone, but still you gotta cling on. Your Batman and Robin, Cagney and Lacey, Starsky and Hutch, but they still can't face me. And if I may make this one thing clear, that's for you not to come near. Period. For I ain't bugging or delirious. My swift tongue's like a sword, that's how severe it is. And I can slice and dice. I'm Bishop Vice MC. Them thought it was nice into minute rice. Single-handed, I ain't miss that bad stuff. Cause he'll scratch a record like flakes and dandruff. And the mic got ravaged, not like a savage, but in my own way of doing damage. As I design a genuine line. Now who flat top rules in 89? Woo!
Big Daddy Kane. Warming up Kane. Danny Morrison Show, KBLA Talk 1580. Yo, thank you for playing that. Oh, Kane. Oh. Kane is the man. Gray, who's the greatest rapper of all time? Watch your mouth now. Watch out. Who's the greatest?
Ooh.
Watch your mouth now. Come on. You're on the Danny Mo Show. Come on now.
Okay. I'm gonna give Rakim God honors on that one.
I got to give you that one. That's a good one. Hey, by the way, Marcus just said on our YouTube feed, he said, I see that Miss Connie is still making an impression weeks back from her appearances on the show. Let me just let you all know, you know how we get down on this show. I don't have tunnel vision when it comes to talking black issues on this show. I'm not going to give you the same old canned interviews. I'm not going to talk about the same old topics. I want to give a panoramic perspective from all black voices. That's what I do on this broadcast. You're not always going to agree with everybody that comes on this show. You're not. But I guarantee you, I'm going to bring them on. So you can listen to them. You can disagree with them. If you got a little something to say, you can call them too. This Pulse One-on-One is just not me with that person. It's also you one-on-one if you want to call and debate that person. But there is no influence on this show. I bring everybody on this show who just so happens to be black to give you their perspective. And I think that Gray King's been a great guest. I'm just saying. Let's go to Juliet. She's been on hold since the birth of Christ up in here. Juliet, give me your height, your color, and your hood, Juliet.
5'9" 3/4", because I'm in an inch now, because I'm listening to some education and information.
Juliet Watts checking in, even though she didn't say it. Drop that, come on. Yeah. Juliet, come on, I got a few minutes here, real quick here. What's on your mind tonight?
I'm going to do like Brother Malcolm says, history. We have to explore our history, and people need to understand there's a difference in teaching and being educated. Our ancestors told us February 21st, on Huey New's birthday at the Bel Air Sports Arena in 1968, that there is a difference in being black and having the spirit of blackness.
Blacks having the fear of blackness? Is that what you said?
Ourselves before we have allies with everybody else, which is included POC, people of color. That's not including us.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. I hate that phrase, by the way.
Yeah, but you need history that can be changed.
Yeah.
There's the opinions. We can have our opinions, points of views, and whatever. It cannot be changed, and it is unique from anyone else's. And like they said, race is a contest. Like Dr. Carl Anderson, he said, race is a contest. And if you Los Angeles, Fahima, I respect you for being an educator or whatever. Los Angeles is totally different. All politics is local, and the Black Panther Party for self-defense started out as a political party with basic knowledge of our rights, law, and self-determination, because sickle cell wasn't even tested then. They wasn't even doing research, because that only affected black people.
All right. I appreciate you, Juliet. God bless you. Have a good night, okay?
Appreciate all of y'all, and please keep on passing information and extending the knowledge.
We will be doing that. That's what we are here for sure. All of KBLA, that's what we're here for. You want to respond to that, Queen?
I love the Black Panther Party. Huey Newton, because their philosophy comes out of Malcolm X And then you have the Republic of New Africa, who also were migrationists, who went to Mississippi. Many of the Black Panther Party members sort of connected to that information. She mentioned 1968. I'll mention the 1972 Black Convention in Gary, Indiana, which we are desperately in need of annual or biannual conventions where we all get together and kind of hash out our political platforms to create a national movement. So I love and respect everything from the Black Panther Party.
Well said. 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. Andy, let's get this third clip in because I'm really interested in what my man Gray's going to say on this one. This is a clip from a queen named Kara Celeste West, who isn't talking about migrating to the South. She's talking about migrating to an entirely different country. Listen.
So I've been talking about how my husband and I are looking to live abroad. As a Black woman and a new mom, I do not feel safe here in America, and I don't want to raise my children here. So here are a few countries I've been looking into: Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, Ecuador, and Portugal. There's also a large Black expat community in Ghana happening as well. If you are also Black here in America and looking to leave, check out these places. Check out some of the Black Facebook groups that are specifically aimed to help each other leave the United States.
So what say you, King? Do you give Black people the same blessing for wanting to leave the country because they don't feel safe, or do you only support those that remain in the States? The floor is yours.
Wow, man. So here's what I say.
I knew you were going to struggle with this one. I said I cannot wait to hear what he got to say about this. If you were only about the safety and sanctity of Black people, you got to watch what you say on this one. Because she said herself she doesn't feel safe. And you can't tell her how to feel. That's her personal experience. So go ahead.
I wouldn't tell her how to feel. I've had these conversations. I don't want to say anything negative about a Black country, but I will talk about the Latin countries. If you look to Latin America, they have a thing called Blackquiamento, which essentially means white in the race. And so she's talking about countries that have literally systematically removed Black populations from their country through genocides even. Mexico didn't even count the Afro-Mexicans in their population, and there are millions of them there. So personally, I wouldn't go to a South American country. If you're going to a Black country, an African diaspora country, just look at the citizenship, look at, do you have land ownership rights that are going to be upheld by the government? Can you run for political office? Because if you can't run for political office, you can't own a firearm, you can't own property, you're not an actual citizen of that country. So to all the expats that are traveling around the planet even, I salute them. I think all Pan-Africanists especially should get on a plane and should go to the countries that they romanticize so that they can have a real-world experience of what it's like living there. Because you hear mixed reviews from people who have actually gone over there and lived over there and report back. There are plenty of YouTube channels that discuss that information. I see African countries, diasporas, as potential trade partners in the future when we establish our Black majority states and we can actually have mutual beneficial trade to build up our states at the same time as we build up their industry. That's the way I see it. But as an individual, I wouldn't leave this country personally.
I find that funny that you say that because you almost sound patriotic in your assessment that you just gave. Are you a patriot?
I am a Black American patriot, yes.
Okay.
I salute every Black American who has fought and died for this country, and we fought and died in every single war in this country.
I think that's why Fahima says that you're spewing like white supremacist tropes a little bit, the way in which you speak, because you do sound like a patriot.
Well, here's what's interesting. You were born in a country, you live in a country, your whole existence is in a country, and if you don't have any loyalty to the Black Americans in that country, I believe you should leave the country. I'm going to be very quite honest. If you come from the lineage and you feel that, like this woman in this clip who doesn't feel safe, who flies a color of some different colors, who puts those colors over Juneteenth celebrations when the Juneteenth celebration literally has the colors of the flag, then you should not be here, because what is your purpose? Because we're trying to uplift Black America. We're trying to put Black America in positions of authority and power so we can protect our population. And if you don't agree with that, or you don't align with that, what are you doing here?
1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. When we come forward, we will get the final word from a man, Gray King here, and we will also let you know how you can get in contact with him. And there's one subject I haven't broached with you, Gray, by the way. We haven't talked interracial relationships. I want to know how you feel about them on the other side, and we'll also get your final information as well. Danny Morrison Show, KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about inside my Pulse One-on-One. Stay there.
From Bakersfield to Los Angeles, from middays to nighttime. Like George and Wheezy, Danny Morrison is moving on up at KBLA Talk 1580.
Governor Newsom and advocates at impasse over funding for Black students. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. Story courtesy of CaliforniaBlackMedia.org. Mid-April, the Black in School Coalition met, and there were over 2,500 K-12 students, parents, and education advocates, plus civil rights leaders, marched to the California State Capitol to demand increased funding for Black students in the state's public schools. They were all calling on the governor and California legislature to not move forward with the equity multiplier in Newsom's education budget, which was made to substitute AB 2774, which would have granted funding for the state's lowest performing group, Black students. But advocates say Newsom's proposal falls short of that goal. All in all, the Black in School Coalition is calling for more support for Black students in California schools.
Congratulations to Grace Memorial Chapel and Funeral Home for being this week's winner of KBLA's Office of the Week. Your office won lunch for 10, delivered by the original Taco Pete. Congratulations to Grace Memorial Chapel and Funeral Home.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest bar,
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
Real talk, real time, the gospel truth. You're listening to the Danny Morrison Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
Our remaining moments with Gray King inside my Pulse One-on-One. I do want to get your opinion on interracial relationships, but before I do, Andy and I were just having a mini conversation just now, and we were talking about what it means to be an American from your own perspective. And I want you to tell me whether or not what my opinion is of you is wholly accurate. I think that some people in the YouTube feed and in my DMs as well, they're saying he does sound like a MAGA Republican. I'm thinking that you saying that you are a Black American, you may not love this white supremacist system, the systemic racism that exists in this country. You will always point towards the black people that built this country. So when you say that you are a patriot, you're not saying that you love the racists in this country and love the system within this country. What you do is you say the people that built this country have to in some way at some point benefit from this country. And until that happens, you will be a patriot for black Americans, not necessarily for Americans as a whole. Am I off base?
No, you're spot on.
Okay.
I think that there's a cognitive dissonance in the YouTube chat, and no disrespect to the people, but the liberals are equally racist. They're just as racist. There's a subtle racism, and then there's an overt racism, and I'd rather deal with the overt racists because I know where they stand. The subtle racists lie to you, but everything that they do behind closed doors is to destroy you. And because we've been voting for the blue racists for 60, 70, 80 years, we don't recognize the fact that they keep blaming the red side as they're the boogeyman, they're the ones who are responsible. But no, we've been voting for you for 70 years. Why are we economically headed to zero wealth? We've been voting for you for 70 years. You are responsible for uplifting us. Why are all these other groups coming to the country and being elevated above us, and we've been voting for you for multiple generations? So you gotta put the problems of Black America at the feet of the people who are responsible wholly, because they control and own every single thing in this country.
So before we let you go, come on. Interracial. I don't even know if I should ask.
Can I save a minute to get a quick plug in and do the interracial thing, either before or after?
Whatever, in whatever direction you want to go with it. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll do the interracial thing. So I believe that Black Americans who marry interracially and produce children are producing Black children the first time. And this is something that I've evolved on. But when you have multiple generations of Black Americans who get involved in interracial relationships, eventually, and this happens pretty quickly.
You're about to use the word diluting, I think. I hope you don't.
Well, you actually are producing ethnocide and phenocide, because what happens very quickly is the Black phenotype disappears within the children after successive interracial relationships. And this has happened in this country the whole time. That's why there were octoroons and quadroons and mulattoes, et cetera, and they disappeared into whiteness because it was essentially black and white. Now that there are all these other groups, what is going to happen is we're going to disappear. And this is that Blackimento that is popular in Latin American countries, which is whitening the race. So this is unfortunately the bleaching of dark melanated human beings into whatever it is that they create children with over successive generations. That is scientific fact. It's a reality. It happens in these celebrities. You can see it as plain as day in real time in these celebrities.
It sounds like he's not advocating for interracial relationships, Andy. I'm going to go out on a limb.
I think if you're going to destroy the Black race, then no, it's not a good thing, ultimately.
If people want to get in contact with you and follow you, get involved in your Twitter spaces and such, maybe there's a website they can visit. What can they do? Where can they go?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a bunch of websites. Reparations2023.com. This is the reparations rally website. We're going to have Judge Joe Brown, Isaiah Washington, Marcel Dixon, and a bunch of other celebrities at the National Monument, at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. on Father's Day, on Juneteenth. Please support. Log into the website. You can also come to social, SOXCIAL.com, which is the Black American platform that we founded and we created, and we actually uplift Black Americans on the platform. And then I'm also on Twitter at Gray King Black State. where I do most of my advocacy, but we are generating and moving a lot of this content over to social.com. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to yourself, very gracious, and your listeners. And let's keep the conversation going.
God bless you, King. I appreciate it. Have a good one. I'll be in contact, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Wow. That right there. Now, that's a conversation right there. Wow. People have been saying, when you going to get Dr. Umar on the show? I'm like, I think we just did. Seemed like it. No, Dr. Umar is a Pan-Africanist, so that'd be a little bit different conversation. By the way, working on that. There is a slight chance he's going to come on the show, so we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, people are all upset in the YouTube feed and upset in my DMs and text messages. I kind of like it. I kind of like the fact that we can have these conversations and not always agree with one another. If I come in here and do content only that you only agree with, I'm not doing my job. I'm not. I could come in here and spoon feed all kind of content that you would be like, Danny, that's right. Danny is dead. He's dead on tonight. Danny, dead. No, I don't want you to do that. I want you to hear content from other African Americans, Black American freedmen, reparationists, whatever other category, ADOS, the whole nine. I want you to hear from everybody. Form your own conclusion. I got a couple people in my DM saying they're changing their minds a little bit, you know? Regardless, I want us to have the discussion on a nightly basis on this broadcast. That's what this show is about. I'm not going to give you just easy content all the time. But I do love the fact that you guys do respond. You call in, you jump in the YouTube feed. I love it. That is what I'm here for. I'm always going to set them up. I want you to spike them, boom, over the net, like my daughter was doing in my Instagram. Did you see it? My daughter, my beautiful athletic daughter. Thank you. Give love to Mariah. Come on now. You guys haven't seen that clip, go to my @Danny Mo Show Instagram. I posted a video of my daughter playing volleyball, 8 years old. Get ready. I smell scholarship. You smell that? I do. But I'm not into silencing black people. I made you a pledge that I'm not going to cancel black people on the Danny Mo Show. I'm also not into silencing black people. Connie Collins got everybody shook on this show. I gave you a month worth of content with that entire conversation, and I said, that's about right. 4 weeks, I gave it to you. I let you come in, chime in, and we had some back and forth, and it got emotional up in here. But it did its job. It opened up the conversation. And I want us to continue to do that. And we're going to bring on people on both sides, you know? And unfortunately, there are two sides on this. Which, by the way, disappoints me that there's two sides to this discussion. But I stand by the fact, and I've said it a million times, and I'm going to say it again before we get up out of here. I'm rooting for everybody black. That's me. You know? I ain't taking nobody's side. I'm taking the black side. Give me 5 on the black hand side. That is me right there. So y'all can go ahead and jump into whatever bucket, whatever pocket, whatever political organization, affiliation, whatever. I'm rooting for everybody black, and I'm going to bring all sides of the black experience on the Danny Mo Show on a regular. Like tomorrow, we got Urban Spence coming up on here, part 2 of the black marriage conversation. We going to do that tomorrow. Thursday night broadcast. You know how we do. It's going to be fun. Good luck. God bless. Gone. In the meantime and in between time, make sure you keep it on KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about. Be good. Peace.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.